All right. Well, we are now beginning a new season of Star Trek The Next Generation. This one is the second season. And I just wanted to give a quick overview of the second season before I got into reviewing the episodes this time, as I did with the first season. So the first thing that I want to talk about, just by looking at this picture, we notice there are some changes within the cast. As you can see, Gates McFadden is no longer there, who played Dr. Crusher. She instead was replaced by Diana Muldaur as Dr. Catherine Pulaski. Now, I had not really known this, but apparently Gates had been fired after the first season. I thought for sure that she had decided to, she wanted to leave the show on her own free will, but apparently that's not the case. She was fired, and I don't know anything more than that, really. If you have any books or anything that you've heard a little bit more information about what happened, about why Gates was fired, let me know. I'd be interested in hearing about that. But nevertheless, she was, and Diana Muldaur took over for the second season. Now, Diana was actually not a newbie to Star Trek. She actually had several guest appearances in the original series of Star Trek. And through that, she developed a relationship with Gene Roddenberry, who then casted her in several other projects of his before getting this role. So that was a major change in the cast. The other major change, of course, is with Whoopi Goldberg, who joined the cast in the second season. And Whoopi had always been a huge Star Trek fan, and she was really moved by the character of Uhura in the original series, because in all the other shows that she saw growing up, there weren't any black people. And Nichelle Nichols was the first woman to appear on screen to her, and that was kind of an inspiration why she watched the original series. So she was a big Star Trek fan and called Gene up and said, I'm a big Star Trek fan. Is there any part that you could have me play? And Gene, at the time, was developing a new set on Star Trek The Next Generation called 10 Forward. And it was going to be kind of a bar lounge that wasn't a duty station, but a station where people could relax. And he decided to develop the character of Guinan, and Whoopi took that part. And it's interesting because Whoopi never became necessarily a star of the show, but she was always a very mysterious character, especially in the second season here. And I think that's what makes it kind of interesting, because she plays somebody who has a lot of wisdom and has some kind of background history with Captain Picard. We're not exactly sure why. And we don't really know too much about her background, about her people. She just refers to them as her people in this season. So she's a very mysterious character. We don't know if she necessarily has powers. Q does reference her as being an imp, and that she's not what she appears to be in the episode of Q Who in the season. But yeah, this was a great addition to the cast, and she remained with the show for the rest of the series. Now, in addition to the change of cast in Season 2, you also can see in this picture that Riker has a new look. He's now got a beard. And apparently the story goes, Jonathan Frakes, in between the first and the second season, there was a writer's strike. As I had mentioned in the first season, that's why the Neutral Zone got cut down to being a one-episode episode. It was originally going to be a two-parter. So anyways, Jonathan Frakes really didn't like to shave, and during the writer's strike he grew out a full beard and actually came in as Season 2 was going to begin, and Gene saw that and he said, I really want to use this in the show, and we're going to, crop the beard a little bit to give Riker a nice new look. And that's how that got started. And I really do like the look with Riker as a beard. I think he looks a lot older, and I think he immediately commands a lot more authority with the beard. And he just has his expressions, I think, are a lot more pronounced, I think, with it. He really uses it to full effect. So that was a nice, great change with Commander Riker. Now, at the end of the first season, Gene Roddenberry's influence on the show was starting to diminish because of health reasons, and Rick Berman really took over as the executive producer, more or less, of the show, and really ran the day-to-day operations. And so to take over the story side was Maurice Hurley, who had done a number of rewrites to the first season, and he became the in charge of the story side. And there was a little bit of friction between him and the other writers, as there had been with Gene during the first season with the writing. Well, with Hurley, some of the friction happened with some of the writers, including Hannah Louise Shearer and Tracy Terme. Tracy, as you remember from the first season, wrote the episodes of Haven and The Big Goodbye and Conspiracy, some really good ones. But there was a lot of conflict, especially with Conspiracy. Hurley felt that he didn't like the violence in it, and he really didn't enjoy that episode, and Torme only got that made because Rick Berman and Gene Roddenberry and Robert Justman supported him. So, and eventually, actually, Maurice Hurley ended up leaving at the end of the second season, too, out of the same door that Tracy Torme would leave earlier. So, there was a little bit of conflict in the writing staff. Also, I had mentioned there was a strike in between the first and the second season, so the number of episodes for the season was cut down to 22, and the way they funded the money for these episodes changed too. So if they went over budget for certain episodes of The Next Generation, then they had to make up for that in future episodes and cut down the cost. So at the end of the second season, we have an episode called Shades of Grey, which basically was a show showing old clips of the first season, and that was basically to save money. And as a result, some people consider Shades of Grey to be the worst episode of the second season. However, this season was really the one where the ratings started to go up. By the end of the first, they were really high, and they went up even further as the second season progressed. So this was a great season in the fact that the characters really started to find their footing in who they were, and the writers started to find their footing in who they were. And there are still some episodes in this season that are not quite as good, but it is a definite improvement from the first season, and I would argue by the third season, Next Gen really started to find its foothold, and they really started growing tremendously from that point forward. So I'm looking forward to reviewing these episodes of the second season. I'd like to leave you with a couple thoughts. First of all, I would like you to comment below and tell me what are your thoughts on Season 2 for those of you who have watched the second season of The Next Generation. How did you feel about it? Do you feel like it was a good season? What were some of the good parts about it? What were some of the bad? And if you have a favorite episode or least favorite episode, I'd like to hear your thoughts about that too. So that's one question that I have for you. I'd also like, for those of you who have not seen my previous episodes from Season 1, or just want to follow along as I review these episodes of Season 2, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, just www.youtube.com/BobTheBusinessBuilder, and that is where you can find the library of all the episodes that I do, plus I have a number of other videos that I do as well. So that's what I'd like you to do. Go onto my YouTube channel and please subscribe, because I'd love for as many people as possible to follow along with this. I think it's a lot of fun to watch these episodes again and just to enjoy the review of each one of these. And lastly, for those of you who I've had some questions, people asking me, is this your job to review episodes? And first of all, if there was no money involved at all, I would still be doing them because I think it's a lot of fun. This is probably one of my favorite TV shows ever. But I make money indirectly with this, and I do that because I make money online. And all my videos, not just Star Trek The Next Generation, I have links below, and it tells people how they can make money online as well. So if you like the idea of maybe making videos in general, it doesn't have to be Star Trek, and you're interested in making maybe some extra cash, or maybe you are job hunting and looking for something instead, maybe joining a new business, click that link below, and I'll give you a little bit of information about what I do to make money online. So that's all I have for you guys. I'm really excited about reviewing these episodes coming up for Season 2. And yep, stay tuned for that, guys. Thanks.